What's up, guys and gals? It's Griever back here, bringing you guys another chapter review for Jujustu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 144 review. Now, I am doing another one of these. Go figure. It's only because after finishing the live stream and stuff, I wasn't sure if everybody would be interested in me doing a week-to-week review. And but my first one for chapter 143 went over really well. Decent view count, decent comments, etc., etc., etc. So I'm back here again. I'm back here till you guys go, yeah, no, your thoughts don't matter. So, with that being out of the way, let's jump into chapter 144, because there was some good stuff in this chapter. First and foremost that I want to bring up. So, they don't really talk more about the culling game, because I think like a lot of fans, not hardcore fans who can understand all the intricacies of it, I'm still not fully understanding exactly how the culling game is going to work. It's got some complexity to it. This isn't a bad thing, but this chapter doesn't really explain more. I think when we really get into the thick of things with it, then the rules and everything will become more apparent. What the scale is, what this, what that, So, but this chapter moves on from that. We're still within the conversation between Fushiguro, Itadori, and Okotsu, but they sort of move on from the culling game thing after he says, I need your strength, you gotta help me and stuff. So this is where Itadori, first thing that I want to bring up is Itadori recognizes exactly how Sukuna managed to take over his body so easily, being shoved 10 Sukuna fingers down his throat, so we're at a total of 15 apparently now. He recognizes how that went down, what happened in Shibuya, and he knows that Sukuna has something planned for Fushiguro, for Megumi. So he immediately says, from one MC to another MC, look, if I ever switch with Sukuna again, don't hesitate to kill me. I think that if it's you can do it. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm glad that right away, Yuji Itadori. I like Itadori, guys. I do. I think he's a pretty good main character. And I like the fact that he instantly, not only has he figured that part out, but he recognizes that Okotsu could probably go toe-to-toe with Sukuna. Like, he's like, if I switch with Sukuna, kill me. He's like, I think that you could do it. Even if I was in Sukuna form, I'm pretty sure you can do it. And I was like, good eye on Yuji. Ironically, because now he's got the scar going. But his eyesight has never been better. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so, and Yuta just basically like, all right. I mean, if it happens, I'll do it again, So then they move on to talk about what they should do next. And the whole thing is to go with this Tengen guy. And I'm like, all right, first of all, I was like, see, we all have mixed feelings in the community. I don't know how the community feels as a whole necessarily, but Master Tengen, who everyone seems to be like, oh yeah, he's vital and blah, 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 blah. Remember that Gito and Gojo were going to they were going to be like, yeah, fuck that for the sake of a high school girl. They were like, yeah, no. And that's sort of what turned everything, And we do sort of call back to that moment, that flashback arc, we call back to that in this chapter. That's why it's relevant here to bring up that I got no love for this Master Tengen guy. Like, screw his barrier, screw all the rules and stuff. Like, he's sacrificing these vessels. Like, it's not, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the practice of it and stuff like that. So I was all on Gito's side when he was just like, yeah, Gojo and I will help you. You don't have to do this. Just take my hand. We'll leave. Like, screw this. Screw the rules. I'm Gito. So it's very hesitant, even though they bring up this thing like Fushiguro says, we'll go back to Jujutsu High and contact Master Tengen. That's the best option right now. We don't really know what else is going on because we need to find out how to break Gojo out of the prison realm and etc., etc., which, fair enough, okay, what have you, but still, it's like, all right, I know that they need to break Gojo out. I understand that. But at the same time, we as readers know that they're not going to break Gojo out for some time because, as the mangaka has stated, the author of Jujutsu Kaisen has stated, getting Gojo out of the way as the overpowered, as I think King of Lightning said it best when he said, a Dragon Ball Z character in the Naruto verse, having that freedom again for plot, for power scaling, for everything else, is just a weight off of his shoulders now that Gojo's sort of out of the picture. So there is all that. So I do understand that they don't really fully grasp, like, okay, the scale of the culling game and stuff yet. It's as they put here, Fushiguro says the culling game is Jujutsu terrorism on a new level. It's on a level we've never seen before. Only Master Tengen probably knows about this. Itadori brings out Tsukumo, and Fushiguro's like, yeah, it was her idea actually to go talk to Tengen. So she's hiding it there right now because they're all trying to avoid the higher ups, right? Because they're criminals, or this, or that, they're the other thing. So Yuta brings up the fact that the problem is the barrier, getting through the barrier. Because they use that door analogy, like there's 1,000 doors and it's constantly changing and there's no way to know, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's one of the big moments in the chapter. A lot of people are going to be focused on the end of the chapter, but one of the things I want to focus on right here is they sort of gave a very sliver of hope about Nobara, about Kugisaki, and Itadori flat out asks Fushiguro, now that it's been some time, what happened to her? And his eyes point down. We don't get confirmation. Again, it's like they don't want to confirm it. This leads me to believe that she's going to come back. I don't like that because they're leaving it so open-ended. Like, yeah, there's a sliver of hope. She's so damaged. I don't know if my healing did anything, and Fushiguro here does not answer Itadori. He just looks down, like maybe she's in a coma, maybe she's like lost a lot of, maybe she's in a vegetable state, something like that, but they never say she actually died, and that bothers me because they're like having that little, oh yeah, so in chapter 200 when she makes a reappearance, I never really said she was dead. So I'm a little, this is the moment that I wanted to talk about the most, because from the expression, Itadori and we as the readers from a surface level are supposed to assume that she's dead. It's been confirmed, she's dead. Didn't see the body, didn't hear the words, so I'm not buying it. This is when Choso appears out of darkness, so that's hilarious. Choso just shows up right there, boom. About the barrier, there is a way to get past it. So Choso brings up this fact that Mahito once stole Sukuna's fingers in the death painting wombs, right? We can do the exact same thing. And they do this, because Choso knows how to, sense the brothers and all that fun jazz. This is where we see Maki. So Maki, not looking the best. Not exactly looking the best. And of course, Yuta is just like, hey, are you okay? Should you be moving around? Like, are you all right, senpai? Like, because remember, they're classmates, remember. They're from the same sort of generation. So it's like, they're from the same class. So it's like, Maki, how you doing? You all right and stuff? And they're just like, what's going on here? And it's brought up that reverse techniques and stuff, even burn marks and stuff, there's always scars remain. Like Jujutsu, sorcery, cursed energy and stuff, reverse curse techniques, they might be able to do extraordinary things, but it doesn't mean that you can just come all the way back, right? And we're seeing this with Maki. Maki looks like incredibly burned across her face and stuff. It's not a very... I feel really bad because a lot of people, of course, love Maki. I love Maki too, and for this to happen, especially to a woman's face, it's really like, oh man, I feel really like bad from just that... From that very vain, from that very surface level reason alone, I feel really bad for Maki because it's her face. I mean, how could they do that to such a pretty girl? Like, god damn it. But she's taken in his stride because she's a goddamn badass. She's not just a pretty face. She's a goddamn badass, and she's already up and moving about and like, yeah, all right, I'm here. What's the plan? And I'm like, props. Props Maki. She's not wallowing in self-pity. She doesn't care. She's not vain. She's not narcissistic. She got this, right? So, they go up after this. Choso basically explains about the Tengen's barrier again, saying that between the door and the tomb lies the warehouse. The warehouse where, of course, they store all the really high-level cursed tools and objects and etc. So it also holds the remains of Choso's younger brothers. and even if they're the remains, the side effect, I should be able to basically pinpoint them because I can feel my brother's sort of idea, right? And I was just like, that works. That's an easy, rather than going on this quest to figure out how to get through the Tengen barrier. I was like, I'm glad they're just moving forward. They're just pushing forward. Great. Now we don't have to focus on it. Shut up, you stupid thing. Now we don't have to focus on all that stuff and build up to this. It's moving at a good chunk. It's moving at a good pace to start off the new arc. We've ended Shibuya, and now it's like, boom, boom. Okay, now we have the Cullen game. Now we have this. Yuta's back. Okay. We got to go see Tengen. Okay. Like, things are moving. Like, we're not going to be a slow burn to start the new arc. I like it. So, Maki brings up an excellent question and says, that's fine and Danny and all, but who the hell is this guy? And I'm like, all right, fair enough. Choso has just been tagging along ever since he had a very similar, and I think it was Miss Content brought it up, a very similar experience involving Yuji, where they have this, like, he had the high school dream stuff, but Choso had a dream where Yuji was one of his brothers. Two very different settings, but they both had this thing and this automatic draw to Yuji that Yuji's my best friend, Yuji's my brother. Like, it's just, it is what it is, right? And they've fundamentally believed in what they saw, or they believe in the spirit of what they saw. Choso literally believes it, while Todo, on the other side, he sort of looked at it as, in another life, in another time, we would have been a match made in heaven as best friends. And so he goes off on that line. So it's very interesting, I will admit, that this has happened not once but twice with Yuji and has pulled people towards him. I'm curious as to what exactly, if there's something deeper going on there. Misk was the one to sort of, bring up the idea, and I'm just going to take it and put it in the theory folder for now, that there might be something more to that than just metaphorical interpretation, poetic license, just a showcase, There's something more to that. But yeah, so Maki brings this up, and this is going to be great for the fans. I was like, this is a nice moment too, because who's this guy? He says, Yuji just looks down and says, for now, you might as well just think of him as my big brother. And Choso just, huh? And he's like, Yuji! And they're like, all right, they ignore the rest and they let's go. And I was like, Yuji, that was like a nice thing to do. Like, Choso has been nothing but helpful since he's been under this, as far as Yuji thinks, a delusion as far as Yuji's concerned. Choso's been under this delusion, but he's been nothing but helpful towards him ever since their fight and stuff. So, and he has done nothing but try to help him, try to save him, back him up and stuff. So, all under this delusion that he's his, that Choso is Yuji's big brother. So, for Yuji to do this, to say, hey, for now, he's one of the gang, he's one of the group, he's one of our friends, you might as well, he's my big brother for all intents and purposes, because he believes it. So what's the harm, and I don't know if it's, you could look at it two ways. It might be a bit of cruelty if it's not going to come to fruition or something like that. But you could also look at it in the way of, they might go down a storyline where Yuji's caught and stuff, and he's like, you're not actually my big brother, but that, like, Choso's in this battle or something, and he's just like, I know it's not true, but, I believed it so hard, and Yuji might, like, grab his hand, in a very, like, that sort of idea, and just be like, it doesn't matter if we're not actually brothers. From the moment, you told me, I've slowly grown to see you as an older brother. God damn it, you are my older brother. Sort of that emotional impact feeling you get with the whole not their dad, but there'll always be my dad sort of idea. A lot of more dramas do that and stuff. You have the father who's not actually the father, but they don't care that their real dad doesn't matter. You are my dad for all intents and purposes. It's always an emotional moment. I feel like we're leading ourselves into a moment like that. Whether it's true or not. I mean, still, that little theory folder I said before, that there's still some potential there that there might be some truth to this. Who the hell knows? So that was actually a really nice moment. Because I can see the potential now for Choso's storyline. I didn't like Choso in the beginning, and I still don't like his hairstyle, But Choso has grown on me exponentially since the last stream and the last couple of chapters. Just really enjoyed Choso as a character, and I could see the potential there. So the last part of the chapter, though, goes on. They do find the right door. They go through the door. They do stop at the warehouse, and Yuji even says, Choso. And he's like, I know. We're not here for this. I'm not going to cause crap. But he puts his hand on the door of the warehouse and says, I'm coming back for you one day. Because those are his legitimate brothers. We're not sure about the whole Yuji situation, but he is the older brother. Those are all his younger brothers in there. He's going to get them out one day. And I'm like, okay. Choso has fully enveloped and grown as a three-dimensional character so quickly, but it doesn't feel like it was bad pacing. I just really... Choso is slowly climbing the ranks in characters for me, for popularity, for my own lists and stuff. I really like Choso. Really digging him. I think he sort of almost stole the show here in this chapter. But yeah, so then they all go in. They see the blood stains on the floor from before, back when, the whole thing with Fushiguro, Papa Fushiguro and all that stuff, and Gojo and stuff 11 years ago. They're reminiscing about it. That's when everything began to get so fucked up, is basically what they're saying. And it's funny that Yuta was sort of, but see, Yuta wasn't involved way back then. Neither was Maki, see, because Volume 0. So, yeah, it's funny that nobody talked about it, or nobody seems to know about it. So that's sort of interesting, you know what I mean? Like, Gojo has never actually brought this up. I just felt like maybe he had confided in the older students at some point about this, but apparently not, because nobody seems to realize that this is what happened. So they walk in, they're supposed to be in this major shrine unit, but it's just a blank white space, It's just an entirely blank space with a tunnel behind them, and they said there's nothing here. Automatically, they believe that it's rejecting them. But then, of course, she goes on to say that Tengen doesn't interfere with the world, but I thought that the contact was possible now that the 6 eyes had been sealed, of course, because Gojo's being sealed, so maybe then an exception would be made. But then she brings up the fact that maybe it's only me. See, I got questions about this. I got questions about Tsukumo here. Or is that her name? What is her name? She's the... Shit. I forget her name. Anyways. But I do like the fact that she's still shrouded in some mysteries and stuff. She's got this sort of way about her, and now she's realizing, maybe it's not rejecting the kids. Maybe it's rejecting me. I'm not supposed to be here. And it's like, okay, wait, why? Like, there's more to this story, right? She says I was too optimistic. But then apparently, I'm assuming this is Tengen appearing at the end of the chapter. They decide that they're going to all head back, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, just appears. It's a pleasure to meet you, and they're all on guard. Leaving so soon? What I don't understand here is that they don't, she's not, Tengen fails to acknowledge, one person, and I'm trying to figure out why. Because Death Painting Womb, so Choso, even if he says child of the Zenin, well, that could refer to both Fushiguro and Maki, technically, could it not? So, I mean, either or, but it only says child, not children, so there's only one. Michi Zane's descendant, so 3, and then Sukuna's vessel, 4. So, doesn't really seem to care about everybody that's there. It's like, you got 4 eyes, they have no pupils, they can't see. You're only acknowledging, I guess, the ones that matter, the ones that are of import as far as Tengen is concerned. I'm assuming this is Tengen, or Tengen's attendant, maybe. At first, I assumed that this was not Tengen, that this is his attendant. But I'm not 100%. Is Tengen the only one in the main shrine? Who knows? We don't know yet. It's a blank, open white space. The possibilities are endless for the rest of the chapter. The design is very odd, very creepy. I don't know if I like it necessarily or not. If this is Tengen, I'm going to be curious to see. Seems to have that sort of otherworldly presence about him. So if this is Tengen, I'm going to be curious as to why he looks like that. I really got to know. So It's going to be interesting that way. But yeah, overall, quite a bit to cover this chapter, wasn't there? Like, we have the reveal of Tengen. We have them sort of reminiscent about the past a little bit. We have Choso's storyline here between the whole him being called his big brother by Yuji, which doesn't feel out of place. Him being able to locate the barrier and all that stuff, and his attitude towards like just walking by his brothers like, I'm coming back for you sort of idea. A lot of good stuff there. We get Maki, seeing her all interesting stuff. Yuta is now part of the main cast. This is great. The whole did Nobara, is she really dead? Is she in a vegetable state? Is she in a coma? Is she just alive and well? Who the hell knows at this point, because we're not getting a straight answer from the manga. So there's that, and like there was just quite a lot to cover. There was just quite a lot here, guys. So this is going to be an exceptionally long review. This thing's going to go like 30 minutes. So sorry about that, but that's just the way these things go. I had a lot to cover, a lot of thoughts, a lot to talk about. So I'm sure you guys don't mind if if you want to skip to points, skip to points. It's fine by me. But I thought this was a pretty great chapter, especially for Choso fans. It was a very good chapter for Choso fans. But yeah, so like, comment, subscribe as always, guys. And if you want me to continue to do these, just let me know in the comment section down below, because the first chapter 143 review did pretty well. If this one does pretty well, it tells me that you guys want to see me continuing to do reviews of Jujutsu Kaisen chapters as they come out. That you weren't just here for the live streams, you're here for the week-to-week content as well. That makes me pretty happy if that's the case. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, yada, yada, yada. Don't forget to drink responsibly, as always, as I always do. And we'll see you back here next time, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.